14 glorious years of dominance. November 5, 1988 is a very, very special day for 1.4 billion Indian cricket fans. Perhaps if I expand it to world cricket fans, then Virat Kohli, the phenomenon of cricket nowadays, he turns 34 today. Ever since that steely teenager came out in very, very dire circumstances in 2006, from that point on till 2022, we have seen Virat mature once as an explosive player, volatile attitude, to now being one of the greatest players that the game has ever seen. We all talk about the Fab Four of modern day batting, we all talk about the Fab Four cricketers, but Virat Kohli is in a different pedestal altogether, primarily because his sustained consistency and the fear that he draws in the opposition. When Sachin Tendulkar retired in 2013, November 2013, we all thought, how will that void be filled up? It was filled up, and how? Virat Kohli's performances have ensured that we did not miss Sachin Tendulkar's retirement that much. Although yes, die-hard fans of cricket will still miss Sachin Tendulkar's presence on the cricket field even today. But Virat Kohli's impact has been such that Sachin Tendulkar peacefully transitioned out and India's dominance was sustained because of this man. 2006 onwards till 2022, but his major calling came in 2008. From that time on, 14 years of sustained brilliance. There may be 34,000, 71,000 moments in Virat Kohli's career. I have taken a task to boil it down to 10. No mean feat, but I have tried to encapsulate Virat Kohli's brilliance in 10 different ways. So, the top moments of Virat Kohli, 99% of you would have known this, but here I am just going to give you a summation of how each step in this journey has been. 2006, a cold December day at the Jaitley Stadium. A certain youngster called Virat Kohli was batting on 40 against a Karnataka team that had a lot of established players. When he batted on 40 and left the ground, he felt it was another day in the office. He had to rescue Delhi, who were 192 runs behind. But tragedy struck him the very next morning when he lost his father, Prem Kohli. Performing the last rites, everybody was stunned when Virat Kohli came to the ground. Blank expression, but with a steely resolve to do very well. He hit 90 and rescued Delhi. He then went back home and ensured that his father's last rites would be conducted in a proper way. That 90 and the circumstances that surround that 90 on that December day in 2006 was the making of a very special youngster. Virat Kohli from a very early age showed that he was destined for bigger things. And it soon came to him 2 years later. The 2008 Under-19 World Cup in Malaysia had a lot of future stars who would go on to redefine this game. Virat Kohli was one of them, along with Ravindra Jadeja in India. From New Zealand, there was Tim Southee, Trent Boult, Kane Williamson, Corey Anderson. From Australia, there was Steve Smith. From England, there was James Taylor and Stephen Finn. All of these guys went on to play a huge part in the success of their respective nations, none more so than India. Virat Kohli started with a bat, averaged 47 in tough conditions. He led India to the title in a magnificent display of captaincy and batting. And he had future stars like Ravindra Jadeja and Siddharth Kaul in the team. And because of this, Virat Kohli became the top player, the top youngster in India at that time. More success would follow. He made his debut in 2008, scored a century in 2009, but 3 years later, in adverse circumstances yet again, Virat showed that he is the master. Everybody remembers the 2011-12 season when India were hammered 4-0 in England, 4-0 in Australia. But the fourth and final test at Adelaide saw the making of a new era. It was a transition of a new epoch. Amidst those ruins of India's devastating losses in Australia and England, the fourth test in Adelaide produced a star. His century in Adelaide was the foundation on which the brilliance of Virat Kohli would be laid. A couple of months later, in the ODI tri-series that followed, Australia, India and Sri Lanka, Virat hit a brilliant 133 in a chase of 321 at the Belrive Oval against Sri Lanka. That knock, the clinical aggression that he showed and the way how he ended Lasith Malinga's death over spells was classic. The gaps that he pierced, the shots that he hit, the sustained flow of runs that came out of his bat was a treat to watch. And India stayed in the hunt for that semi-final. Remember, for the final spot, remember, they had to chase down 321 in 40 overs. They did it in 36 overs. Thanks to the brilliance of Virat. That knock in Hobart signaled his arrival, and it ensured that the consistency which he would later display would not be a one-off. India in the past against Pakistan were haunted by several match winners. Javed Miandad, Inzamamul Haq, Wasim Akram. But India turned the tables on their arch rivals in a big way. Virat Kohli's arrival ensured that India held the upper hand against Pakistan, be it in any format. 183 on the back of that 133 that he scored at Hobart a couple of months before. In that Asia Cup encounter, it was Pakistan's only loss. 183 in a chase of over 300 plus yet again showed that he was destined for glory. And this 183 was epic. Why? Because it was the last ODI for Sachin Tendulkar. He announced his ODI retirement and 1 year later he would announce his test retirement. So it was the classic, you may say, passing of the torch moment. From Tendulkar, it went to Kohli, and that 183 in Mirpur summed it up. 2015 World Cup, he would once again hurt Pakistan with a century in Adelaide. And in the T20 World Cup, he would score 450s from 2012, then in 2016, then again in 2021 and in 2022. In that way now, Pakistan had an ultimate bogey in Virat Kohli. We often hear in cricketing terms that there is a term called Bradmanesque. That means scoring huge amount of runs on a sustained basis. In the case of Virat Kohli, this last decade has given us a new term called KOHLI'S. 2016 onwards till 2019, there was no better player on planet Earth than Virat Kohli. Simple numbers and simple dominance. 1,215, 1,059 and 1,322 runs in tests from 2016 till 2018. Every calendar year he hit runs. And 2017 onwards, 1,460, 1,202 and 1,377 runs in ODIs in 2017, 18 and 19 respectively. 31 centuries in tests and ODIs combined in this 4-year period. He not only decimated opponents, he hurt them mentally. And that is why in 2017 and 18 he was voted as the ICC Player of the Year. No wonder, because this level of dominance across formats and sustaining it for such a long period made him truly freakish. And in this next slide, you thought 2016 and 17 and 18 and 19 was the zenith. It gave a different dimension altogether because of his performances in T20Is. 106 average in T20Is and the strike rate was over 140. And remember, even in this period, he averaged in the range of 75 to 100 in tests and ODIs put together. 106 in T20Is. But in the IPL, 973 runs and 4 centuries in one season of 2016. These two records potentially might never ever be broken. That is the yardstick that Kohli has established. The only sad note in that is, despite such a glorious season, his franchisee Royal Challengers Bangalore lost. It still begs the question, how could they lose it? But in 2016 in T20Is also, 106 average, punctuated by that epic 82 versus Australia in Mohali. That knock was considered the best until 6 years later, which I will come to the end. Chasing. Normally in the past, when you look at ODIs, you would think big total, how would you chase it down? For Virat Kohli, bigger the total, bigger the ambition to chase it down. And he became the ultimate chase master in ODIs. When Virat Kohli was at the crease, if an opposition scored a total in excess of 300, the advantage would be with Virat Kohli. Simple. He knew what the target was and he knew how to approach it. And how he would change gears, he perfectly planned it. 26 centuries while chasing at an average of 66, and to think India just lost thrice whenever Kohli hit a century. Staggering. 23 out of 26 centuries resulted in wins. Match winner par excellence. That was Virat Kohli. We all thought that there might be some Achilles heel in Virat Kohli's game. 2013-14 England, 134. The swing and seam of James Anderson proved to be his undoing. He had a great record in Australia where the ball has true bounce, there's pace, and Kohli enjoys that. But in England, could that be that final frontier in which Kohli fails? Think again. 2018, 593 runs, including that epic 149 in Edgbaston. He conquered pace and bounce and swing, and how? Two centuries in that series, and it showed that 134 runs that he accumulated in 2013-14 was just a blip. Virat Kohli truly had mastered the conditions and mastered one of the best bowlers in his own den. That was vintage Virat. As captain, do we miss him? Yes, we do. Because as captain, he had set about a path of dominance that the Indian cricket team will really envy in the coming years. Yes, there was horses and courses. Players were not sure of their places, but the results speak for themselves. First Indian captain to win a series down under, 2018-19. You thought Rishabh Pant's 2020-2021 exploits under Ajinkya Rahane was epic? This was even better. Because India had carried the burden of not winning in Australia for over 5 decades, but they finally did it. Led 2-1 in England with wins at Lords and Oval in 2021, but this stat, 40 out of 68 tests, 65 ODI wins and 30 T20I wins, 65 out of 95 and 30 out of 50. Those percentages are truly staggering. Graham Smith, Ricky Ponting are the only players ahead of him. He's in such elite list. And 24 wins at home, 16 away, 20 test runs. Virat the captain, supreme. 2020 till August 2022. The years that were ravaged by coronavirus, 2020 to 2021. In that period, Virat Kohli, the Superman of Indian cricket team, had suffered a blip. The kryptonite had emerged, and one wondered, how long would this lean patch continue? It became a major talking point. Questions were raised whether Virat Kohli deserves a place in the Indian cricket team. He took a break for 1 month. He took occasional breaks, but he took a long break for 1 month where he did not even touch the bat. And then what happened? Against Afghanistan, in a format which we thought that he would not score a century, he ended 1,000 days of pain. 1,000+ days of pain with a century, and he bought it up with a 6. And finally, Virat Kohli, from 70 to 71, that pain had eased off. That pain eased off and India celebrated in a big way. Why? Perhaps the greatest moment in Virat Kohli's great career, 82 against Pakistan in Melbourne. India was staring down the barrel, 45 for 4 in 10 overs. They needed 115. Kohli was striking at just over 100. But how did he change gears? Those two shots that he hit of Haris Rauf summed up his greatness. The Kohli of old, 2016 and 19 was back. 82 runs, and he later on said, this is the best knock that I've ever played. And potentially this is my number one moment even when it comes to defining Virat Kohli. Big game, big pressure, only legends stand up. And Virat Kohli did it. It is with sheer determination and toil that Virat Kohli has accumulated these numbers. 8,074 test runs, 2700s, 49.53. At one point in time, Virat Kohli was the only player in cricketing history to have a 50 plus average in all formats. That has dipped slightly because of his poor run in tests, but in ODIs, 12,344 runs, 57.68, 4300s. T20Is, 113 matches, 3,932, can get to 4,000 in this T20 World Cup. 53.13 average. Truly, truly remarkable. I had done a stat that if Virat Kohli could have maintained that peak 2016 to 19 consistency, he could have overhauled Sachin Tendulkar's tally of centuries and runs in ODIs, but he would kind of struggle to do it in tests. Maybe with this lean patch now broken, Kohli can perhaps once again come in the race and come close to Tendulkar's tally. Will he do it? One hopes that he does, because he still has another 2 to 3 years of good cricket left in him. So Virat Kohli turns 34 today, and it has been a privilege to see him bat. And one hopes that in the next 2 to 3 years we see even greater exploits. Maybe 2 more ICC trophies. Who knows? Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. We'll be back with more updates from Sports Today. Press the like, comment and share button. We are also there on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Thank you. Bye-bye.